Hi guys, and welcome back to Let's Hash It Out podcast, where we have real raw conversations about life, faith, and everything in between. I'm Zora,
I'm Amira.
and today we're diving into a topic that so many of us struggle with: culture versus expectation. Culture is meant to bring us together, give us identity, connect us to our roots. But what happens it starts to feel more like a cage than a comfort. From family traditions to society norm, we're consistently balancing who we are with who we are expected to be. So let's break it down. Where do we draw the line between honoring our culture and living for ourselves?
Let's start with the big one, family expectation. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, it's never enough?
All the time, it's like if you follow the path that is set for you, you're obedient, you're nice, you're respectful. But the minute you don't follow it, you're disrespectful, you're lost. Why do we view personal choices as rebellions?
Exactly. And the expectation are so much different depending on who you are.
True.
Because as women, we are often expected to prioritize like marriage, family, modesty, and the men are pressured to be provided strong and emotional. Like, don't talk about your emotion, you're a man. It's like you don't even get to choose your own story.
And let's not forget your career choices. How many of us are told, be a doctor, be a lawyer, or an engineer or a scientist? But what if my passion is arts or fashion designing or writing or entrepreneurship?
And right, if you push back, they will always tell you this is our culture, this is how it's always been. Like, does culture even evolve or are we just stuck on the past?
Let's talk about the clashes between personal beliefs and your cultural traditions. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between what you believe and what you're expected to believe?
Yes, and it was so hard. Like, faith plays a huge part in many culture, but sometimes traditionals get mixed with religions and people can't even tell the difference.
True. A lot of expectations aren't even religious, they're just more cultural. There's a hadith I had that says there's no obedience in creation, there's no obedience to creation in disobedience to the creator. Meaning we don't have to follow customs that don't align or feel right with our religion or with
Yeah.
our beliefs either.
And yet we are still made to feel guilty for like questioning things. And but questioning is how we grow.
Okay, so let's talk about something we all feel but don't address: the pressure to conform. Whether it's about marriage, career choices, or even the way we dress, there is that unspoken rule that you should follow a certain path. But do we ever stop and ask why?
Right? It's like, oh, you're at this age, you should be married, oh, you studied this, then you must work in that field. What if that's not what makes me happy? Why does it feel like a crime going against cultural norms?
And there's a thing, it's not about the direct pressure. It's about the small comments that you get from your surrounding, the comparisons to others, or even just seeing how society reacts when someone chooses something they done differently from what's normal.
Yeah, I think we need to ask ourselves truly, are we living for ourselves or are we just meeting the expectation to keep the pace? And if we were conforming, is it because we truly believe in it or we are just scared of judgment?
But that's deep. But let's flip the perspective. Have there been times where cultural expectations actually helped us? Maybe guided us towards discipline, value, traditions we actually appreciate.
Ooh, that's a very good one. Because not everything is bad in life, right? So, how do we know what's worth keeping and what's worth letting it go?
All right. So we've talked about the pressure to confirm, but what about to those who want to break the cycle? How do they start redefining expectations without completely clashing with culture?
Be- that's such a tricky balance. Because let's be honest, going against cultural norms sometimes mean disappointing the people that we love, the people that raised us sometimes. So, how do we stand on our ground while still respecting where we came from?
I agree. And I think part of understanding where this expectation come from, are they based on religious values, family tradition, society standards? Because sometimes we assume it's very necessary, when in reality it's just an old habit or a bad habit of people.
And also ask yourself, does this expectation align with my values Is this the kind of life I really want to build? If not, how do I start shifting that narrative? Whether it's within my family, my community, or just within even myself.
And this isn't about just big life decisions like marriage or career paths. This applies to the smaller things like the way we express ourselves and the way we approach relationships, even the way we view success.
So maybe the real question here is, are we brave enough to create our own path even when it's uncomfortable?
So, how do we navigate this? How do we respect our culture without losing ourselves?
I think it's about having boundaries. You can love your culture but also challenge outdated beliefs. You can honor traditions but not letting them define you.
And it's okay to create your own path. Culture should not be a guidebook or a rule book. If something does not align with you and who you are and what you believe in, it's okay to step back and just be like, this is not just for me.
And we are allowed to grow. The person we are at 15 might not be the person we are at 25. And that's okay. Growth isn't disrespectful.
Let's leave you guys with a thought. Do you think culture is evolving or are we still stuck in in our old traditions? And a personal question, do we live for ourselves or do we live for other people's expectations?
At the end of the day, culture is beautiful when it unites but dangerous when it limits. So let us know what you think. DM us, share your thoughts, and don't forget to follow for more real conversation. So stay tuned for our next episode, Growth, Change, and New Beginnings, where we talk about embracing transitions and moving forward in life.